Last year, I had Gavin Brown come in and speak for one of my events. Now, Gavin is a producer who's made some platinum records with bands like Billy Talent and 3 Days Grace, and he told us that when he first started out producing, he had a goal. And the goal was to sell 1 million records and have a #1 hit song within the first year. And it actually happened. Now, this is one of the traits that I discovered most successful producers have in common. They have a big vision. They're ambitious, they're aiming high, and that's true of successful people in any field, really. And it makes me think how many of us are not achieving big things simply because it doesn't even enter our minds to aim for them. You know, at least part of the reason why these successful producers are creating these platinum hit songs is because that's what they're aiming to do. And simply by having that target, they're gonna make very different decisions than someone who has a much smaller goal. But the other crucial thing is that they actually have the courage to go after those big goals. Now, whenever you want to accomplish something new, something bigger, it's gonna require you to get outside of your comfort zone. And when you do that, there's gonna be a lot of fear. And for producers, really any type of artist, that fear comes in the form of imposter syndrome. I often catch myself unconsciously putting all sorts of limits on myself, like, who am I to work with this artist? Or they're much too big for me, or they wouldn't really like my style of work anyways, whatever it is. And a lot of aspiring producers tell me the same thing. They're always waiting to go after their bigger goals because they feel that they're just not good enough yet. And recognizing your weaknesses and aiming to get better, that's a great thing, but a lot of times this is just your brain trying to rationalize your fear to keep you comfortable. The biggest producers and artists, I guarantee you, they experience the same fear and imposter syndrome that you do. And the only difference is that they go and do it anyways. And once they break past that barrier, they're looking for the next level, the next challenge, the next way to push past their comfort zone and push past that fear. I heard a saying once that everything you want in life is on the other side of fear. And I think that's true. So you need to have courage if you want to succeed as a producer. The third trait hit producers have in common is full ownership. That means they take complete responsibility for how a project turns out. So if it's a flop, it's their fault. It doesn't matter if the band comes in unprepared or they can't play their parts well or any other obstacle that comes up during a session. A great producer takes full ownership of everything, and they know that they are the ones who are ultimately accountable. And when you think about it, this is absolutely necessary if you want to achieve big goals, because you can't allow other people's drama or weaknesses or problems to become a roadblock. This was a total game changer for me personally. The moment I decided not to settle for anything less than excellence with anyone or on any project I was working on, and the moment I took complete responsibility for every aspect of the production, including things that are really not my problem, that was when my studio career finally started taking off. But our culture pushes a really strong victim mentality these days, so you gotta make sure you don't get sucked up into that mindset because success requires full ownership. Fourth, you need to have a good work ethic, which is also unfortunately lacking these days. But hit producers, they simply do what it takes to achieve their vision. They're not lazy, they don't cut corners, they'll take the extra time and they'll do the extra boring and tedious work. And I've also noticed by observing great producers through the years that they're usually the ones to get everyone back on track. Now, when you're working with artists and bands, it's easy to get sidetracked, to mess around, to have some fun, and that's okay, but there's gotta be someone, usually a producer, who can call everyone back in, get them focused again, and get back on task. Because yes, this is a creative job, it's creativity, it's art, it's passion, but there's still work to be done. The final trait of hit producers is integrity. Integrity means that you do what you said you would do. You show up on time, you hit the deadline, you deliver the quality that you promised. This is sorely lacking in the audio world. A while ago, I put out a survey to a bunch of bands and I asked them, what are the biggest frustrations that you've had with producers and studios you've worked with? You want to know what their biggest complaints were? Bad communication, late delivery, slow turnaround time, and difficult personality to work with. Hardly any of the bands that answered the survey said that low quality was their biggest frustration. It's simply lack of follow-through and lack of integrity. Now, this is so crucial because if you go around not delivering on your promises, missing deadlines, making people wait weeks and weeks for you to finish your work, well, your reputation is going to tank pretty quickly, and even if your stuff sounds amazing, people are still not going to recommend you. Producing is still a business, and bands and labels need to be able to hire a producer with full confidence that they will deliver the record on time, on budget, and up to the standards they need. Now, if you drop the ball on that, you're gonna waste their time, waste their money, and mess up their plans, and you're not gonna get too many extra chances on that. And the same goes if you're working with local artists and local clients. Having integrity, doing what you say you're gonna do, hitting the deadline, simply being a reliable person to work with, it's gonna give you a huge advantage over a lot of the competition, and it's gonna build your reputation in the scene. So you probably noticed that all 5 of these character traits are not exclusive to music producers. They're traits of successful people in general. And you also might have noticed that these traits are uncommon in the world today, but that's why the people who possess them achieve uncommonly good results. If you want to get a little bit deeper and more technical on how pros operate in the studio, watch this video next for the 13 habits of pro producers.